Welcome to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. I have Vince Bato, business management consultant at Cogent Analytics with me. Vince, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I look forward to sharing some thoughts with you.
I'm glad you're here. All right, Vince, what are some of the biggest challenges small businesses face today?
What we're finding today, most small businesses are facing a myriad of problems, but a lot of them are focused in a couple of areas. One is they seem to be cash constrained. They have lost sales or they have declining sales, and they have a lack of consistency of process in whatever their business is. And this lack of consistency in process creates excessive costs that exacerbate the other two issues.
All right. Now, we know every business is different. What do you see from your experiences are the most common challenges that businesses are facing today?
Well, the most common challenges we see are simply that they are not keeping up with their cash. Their business has grown, usually through a single vertical, if you will. You have a really good tradesman who goes out and creates a business. It gets a little bigger, so he hires a friend. It's another tradesman. And as the business has grown, there was not a formality of or a consistency of the processes that the owner had or intended. So his vision gets kind of muddled and lost. And therefore, you get multiple people that don't have a cohesive vision, and they start doing it their own way, which goes back to the lack of consistency of process that I spoke about earlier.
All right. How can business owners be more effective in their leadership skills to help boost their bottom line?
That's a very good question. One of the things that we have found in our practice is if they learn to delegate. An individual only has so much reach. That's what we call it. And a business that grows quickly or grew quickly, we find that the owner has lost the ability to control every aspect of it, and yet that's where they're most comfortable, is individual control of every aspect of the business. So we have to teach our business owners the art of delegation, and what I generally do is develop the vision that can be absolutely articulated throughout the organization. And then once you hire people that can understand that vision, the best thing to do is let them go, knowing that they're going to do the very best they can to take care of that vision and not get too concerned about specific things that might happen. So delegate. You can only grow if you replicate yourself as a small business owner.
All right. What overall task would you say are best kept in-house, and what would be okay to say outsource?
That's a dependent question, because as a business is emerging and growing, of course, they're going to outsource quite a bit of the professional trades, such as lawyers and accountants, because a general contractor or an electrician perhaps doesn't have the skill sets to do that. As the company grows, then what happens we see is there's just a myriad of laws that are ever changing in the human relations field. So I often recommend that we go find an outsourced human relations person, and I think that works really well for a company at the smaller level, 10, 20 employees. You can outsource your human resources. You should not outsource training. I think what you need to do is develop the skill set that you want your employees to have and try to maintain that in-house. But generally, your professional trades can be outsourced for taxes and legal consultation, and also we always forget it, but I always say, let's go get a good outsourced HR company.
Got it. Now, as far as smaller companies, how can they best position themselves against bigger businesses that they're up against?
The biggest competitive advantage that a smaller company has is generally their ability to service quickly. As a company gets larger, just the size makes it more difficult to maneuver. Think of the analogy of the Queen Mary versus a jet ski, right? A jet ski can turn in its own radius, but it takes 5 nautical miles to turn the Queen Mary. So the ability to react quickly, I believe, is where a small business has a competitive advantage. And in that service area, the ability to better service your customers or clients, and also become a lot more personal with your customers or clients.
Now, I have people that come onto the show and their focus is exit strategy. Can you give me some insights on factors that business owners should consider when it comes to exiting the business?
Exiting the business, that's a very complex activity to undertake, and a lot of business owners don't understand some of the perils they can fall into if they don't plan for this properly. And I'll get to some of those perils, but it's very important to not just give your business to a family member because of the horrendous tax implications of transferring a business of that size. You could do something well-meaning to a family member that cripples them financially for decades, if not the rest of their life. So understanding the tax and legal consequences of getting the business to some other ownership. Now, of course, it all depends on how you're also going to divest that business. Are you going to sell it outright to another entity? And then there's a whole nother corresponding set of issues that you have to worry about. You're going to take a lump sum, you're going to take a payout, you're going to take a emeritus type, chairman emeritus type role. Or if you do it with a family member, there's things like trusts that you can put the business in a trust so you maybe avoid some of the tax liabilities. The guidance here is get yourself an awesomely good tax/legal advisor to help you when you're going to exit the business. And one last point that I forgot is get a true valuation of the business. I know that you and I have both sold homes in our lives. Well, when I sell that property, I'm selling my home. The person buying it is just simply buying a house. It's the same with a business. The business owner is selling his lifeblood, his heart, and his life's work. The buyer is just buying a business. And so sometimes the valuation for what the owner thinks it's worth versus what it's actually worth. So a very good valuation from a third-party person is, I think, absolutely the minimum.
Absolutely. I'm all over that one. Let's end on this note. You've got your finger on the pulse of what's really going on with the economy by just the work that you do. So you're inside these companies seeing the ups and downs on them. Give me your take on the current economic climate and policies affecting small business owners today.
We are, in my opinion, and I was thinking about this a little bit, we are in a perfect storm of fear-mongering for small businesses right now. And when you think about it, we've got the holidays upcoming, right? We've had a successful Halloween, so now we're already into the Christmas holiday season, and nobody seems to move quickly during that period of time. We've got a very contentious midterm election going on right now, so people are really holding on to see how that's going to shake out. We have our trade issues going on with various countries, and I'll say it just today. Cutlow talked about the China. There's nothing on the trade for China. Sent the markets in a dizzy. Well, that has a corresponding impact down here to small businesses. And finally, some of the tariffs are creating a short-term pricing issue for a lot of these small businesses who get their commodities from overseas and are now being forced to find them elsewhere. So that's probably a pretty pregnant answer, but there's an awful lot of things running around right now. It's certainly not just business as usual, like in what I would say the good old days of the 50s, where you just did your job and got paid for it.
I agree with you.
There are two other factors that, especially in my current client, they got caught in a situation where their customers basically told them, we are not going to pay you less than 60 days. And their suppliers the week later said, you need to pay us in 30 days. So a client that I currently have got caught in this tsunami of a cross current of where his cash conversion cycle has basically gone negative because his customers aren't going to pay and the suppliers are demanding money. It's put him in a really tight cash crunch. which goes right back to my earlier point. Cash is everything in a small business. Well, cash is everything in a real business day to day. So.
Yeah, but bigger in a small business because that's what
it has
living
a much more exaggerated impact on a smaller business. Yes.
Got it. Vince, thanks for being a guest on the show today. I really enjoyed the conversation. Look forward to many more.
All right. Thank you very much for having me, and have a great day.
You too. All right. You've been watching CEO Money with Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining with us. Don't forget, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.